everyone. So glad you could join us for this chat.
Absolutely. Jasmine, just before we started, we were talking about this one question. It sounds so simple on the surface, but when you really dig in, it has the power to totally change how you see your business, everything.
Welcome to Empower Fantastic Life, Yager Empowerment Academy. Compound your life, unleash your freedom of choice.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. The question is this: what business are you in?
Well, it's almost always the most obvious answer, isn't it? People define it by what they do every day. I sell skincare, so I must be in the skincare business. Or maybe I'm a consultant, so my business is consulting. It's super direct, right? It's all about the product or the service.
Exactly. It really is a huge mindset shift, isn't it? It's like on one side, you've got this thinking that's all about the product, the task right in front of you, just your own personal effort.
Yeah, it's the classic hamster wheel.
The hamster wheel, exactly. You're just trading your time for money, spinning and spinning. But to build a real business, you have to get to that other side, where the focus is on the value you're creating, the system you're building, and actually leveraging a team. And believe me, it is a constant fight not to slide right back into that first way of thinking. There's a fantastic story that just nails this point perfectly. It's about Mark McCormick, the guy who founded the huge sports agency IMG. So picture this. He's on a Concorde jet, back when that was the way to travel, and he spots Andre Heiniger, who was the president of Rolex at the time. So he decides to go over and introduce himself. And he asks him this simple, friendly question. So how's the watch business? Heiniger's response was just incredible. He looks right at him and says, I am not in the watch business. I am in the luxury goods business. That one sentence, it just changes the entire game. And that just illustrates the difference so perfectly, right? I mean, look at this comparison. Timex, they're in the watch business. What do? They sell a tool that tells you the time. They compete on price, and you find them in discount stores. But Rolex, they're in the luxury goods business. They're not selling you the time. They're selling you status, prestige, a symbol that you've made it. They're not competing with Timex, not even in the same universe. One sells a function, the other sells an identity.
And that is the whole point. How you define your business, how you answer that one single question, what business am I really in? It dictates everything else. It sets your marketing, your price, even who you think your customer is. I mean, if the president of Rolex actually thought he was just selling watches, he'd be stuck in a price war with Timex, and that legendary brand would be completely worthless.
And this idea, it applies everywhere. A perfect example is Ray Kroc and McDonald's. So when he first met the McDonald brothers, they were running a couple of really successful hamburger stands. And in their minds, they were in the restaurant business. But Ray Kroc, he saw something totally different. He realized the real business wasn't about selling hamburgers at all. It was about building a system, a franchising system, that was replicable, predictable, and sellable. The hamburger? That was just the product that made the system go. Yeah, it's the exact same pattern with someone like Henry Ford. You have to remember, back in his day, cars were basically handmade toys for the super rich. But Ford didn't see himself as just being in the car business. He completely redefined the mission. He decided he was in the business of mass production, and that one shift in thinking, that's what led him to invent the assembly line. It didn't just change his company, it changed the entire world by putting a car in every average family's driveway. Okay, so let's bring this to today, because this is where a lot of people get tripped up. You ask a modern entrepreneur what business they're in, and what do you hear? I'm in sales, or I'm in e-commerce. See? They're focusing on the activity or the tool. It reminds me of what Michael Dell said. He pointed out that everyone got so obsessed with the E in e-commerce that they totally forgot about the commerce part, the actual fundamentals of business. Exactly right. So, if your business isn't your product, and it's not the tool you use, then what business are you really in? Well, it all boils down to this. Your real business is building business builders. That's it. The sales, the products, the e-commerce platform, all of that is just the byproduct. It's the hamburger in Ray Kroc's franchising system. So the big question is, how do you actually do that? Well, it's a clear process. Step 1, you build a team of people who are also passionate consumers of the products, a self-consuming team. Now, this isn't about getting them to spend more money. It's about helping them redirect the spending they're already doing somewhere else, back into their own business system. Next, you educate that team. Then you help them develop stable, repeatable structures. And when you do all that, you create your true asset, a network of independent, empowered business builders. That is the business you're really in. You know, speaking of modern times, there's a new trap that we really have to talk about. It's very easy to fall into, it's super seductive, and it can pull you right back into that old, limited way of thinking we've been trying to escape. And that trap is this: confusing your business with the internet. We need to be crystal clear on this. The internet is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful tools ever invented for communication and commerce. But that's exactly what it is, a tool. It is not the business itself. And to put that in perspective, just think about other game-changing technologies from the past. The fax machine, right? It totally changed how we sent documents. The mobile phone untethered us from our desks. The computer revolutionized, well, everything. These were all incredibly powerful tools that smart business owners learned to use to build their actual businesses more efficiently. And here's the question that makes it all so clear. Back when the fax machine came out, did anyone ever run around saying, "Guess what? I'm in the fax machine business"? Of course not. It sounds completely ridiculous, right? People knew it was just a tool to help them do their real business. The internet is no different. It's the same thing. And I think this is really the ultimate takeaway for everyone listening. It is so easy to get lost in all the high-tech stuff. The websites, the social media algorithms, all of it, and completely forget that this is, at its core, a high-touch business. It's about people, it's about relationships. The technology should only ever be there to serve those human connections, not to replace them. The moment you start prioritizing the tech over the touch, you have completely lost the plot. So as we start to wrap this up, this is the question we really want to leave you with today. We want you to look past your product, look past the tools you use every day, and ask yourself this: what value or what system am I truly, really building? Because I promise you, the answer to that question will change absolutely everything. This is the Yager Empowerment Academy, adding points to your life, fully empowering you, breaking boundaries for a life of freedom. See you next time. Bye-bye.